Hey, peace and blessings, everybody. Peace and blessings. My name is Gerald Hassan of Enlightening Minds Enterprise, and I had promised some people earlier on Facebook as well as on Instagram that I was going to make a video about this question that I had posed. And the question was basically it was to the more so the millennials because they're the ones doing it, And the question was basically about a picture I posted on Facebook of these five guys walking across the beach with their pants sagging beneath their ass, drawers showing, this, that, and other, right? And so my question was like, in sincerity and out of love, what does it mean to you? What does that style, that look mean to you? And I'm sure to each and every individual, some may know, some may have a conscious reason why they wear it like that, and some just do it. Most probably just do it. Most do it because they seen others do it and they just following a certain fad. And one thing I can relate to is that when we wore our pants kind of like sagging, we wore it like, right below, right where you can see your brief lines or your boxer lines, with the type of brand you had on, but it wasn't just for that. We also wore it because it felt better on us. The jeans were European cut, especially back then, and so they wasn't really making a lot of jeans that fit us in the way that we wanted them to fit us. So therefore, we didn't like how it hugged us in between the legs, and so we would wear our jeans kind of pulled loose because we didn't like that nut sack hugging thing that they used to wear like in the 70s and stuff like that, So we didn't like that feel. So we got away from that. But guess what? The elders criticized that because what they grew up on was different than what we were exhibiting, right? But I'm gonna talk about that later. So. Another thing I wanted to relate was that from my experience with sagging is that, and I was a youth in my 90s. So coming up in the 90s, I would say that's when I got into the sagging, the streets, dope game in Houston, Texas, dope game, late 80s, really booming in the 80s and 90s, you know what I'm saying? And, I think the street gangster mentality or the gangster image come from a gang mentality. It comes from, I'm saying the image comes from what the gangs represented. And how do we, in other states that didn't have gangs, like in Houston, Texas, we didn't start having gangs until the 2000s or something like that, or maybe late 90s. But I'm saying like, that wasn't our culture. Gang wasn't our culture. However, when it came to what the streets looked like, it may look like it was gang related because guess what? We were influenced by LA. We was influenced by California. We was influenced by the King's jacket, the King's Raiders hats, the Raiders jacket. That was our street culture. You had guys robbing and killing people for those jackets back then. You know what I'm saying? And so also with that image where you had the Hispanics who wore the tank tops and the dress like pants, and also they was a gang culture in California, and they had the pants, pulled down, sagging with and you still see that image on TV today. And what I was going to say earlier was that how do we see it when we're not in there? We see it on TV. We see what the TV gave us, right? Whether that was a reality or not. The TV programmed us in regards to what the streets look like. And so it began to be the look for the streets. We see on the videos with Eazy-E and they wear the curls and hanging in the jacket and the lokes, and that became the street image. For those who can reflect and remember, lokes was the street image. It was like that was, even though again it wasn't a gang thing in Houston, we was more like hood. So, but still we had the look, you know what I'm saying? And so the pants were the part of the sagging, but it never went no further than right again below the where the underlying band is at, and then if it went any further than that, again we wore baggy pants back then. It was real baggy. One of the brothers mentioned we had hand-me-downs a lot, so sometimes they don't just be the right fitting you right. And then not to mention in the streets you got a big old 9mm in your pocket or 45 or something, and we weighing a $105 and this gun literally pulling your pants off of you almost, and we walking around like that, you know what I'm saying? And that became an image to a young person looking at this in their mind. This is what if they're looking up to the street guys, this is what I want to look like. This is what I want to walk like. This is how I want to talk. This is how I want my body mannerism to be. You know what I'm saying? So we passed a lot of that culture on. But again, when it comes to asking the youth or those who represent that look, what does it mean to you? Why do you do it? Why does it, make you feel the way it makes you feel, and so on and so forth? Only an individual can give you their why. Can no one else give another person their why? And that's where a lot of us go wrong. We think we know everything, and we want to tell another person why they're doing it. They want somebody to run up in them. They advertise them. They this, that, and other. And we need to humble ourselves, because if we can reflect and remember whether you was a male or a female, when you was their age or when you was a youth, there was something about you that elders criticized you about because it was something that they didn't do when they was your age. And so we have to remember and humble ourselves and how we deal with the youth, because we don't want to deal with the youth in the way that the elders dealt with us, especially if it was counterproductive. You need to find a more constructive and strategic, intellectual way of pulling the minds up, as my brother Ben X would say, pulling the minds up of the youth, and they'll pull their own pants up once you pull their minds up. But you can't be trying to. And here's the best way too. I want to say this before I get further into this message. We gotta be the representation. You see, a lot of us want to tell people what they should and shouldn't do while we're doing something totally contrary to that. We have to become what we want others to become. We have to represent that. You can't teach your children to like reading books if you don't read books. You always watching TV. You can't teach your children to study and do their work when you always finding other stuff to do and you ain't representing the same example. You know what I'm saying? So the best way to create a certain culture in your house is that you have to be the example of that, what you want, what you're referring or suggesting that those beneath you or those under you should be like. You know what I'm saying? And that's what by itself, you don't even have to say nothing. When they see that the way you are is being, it's productive, it's meaning something, it's amounting up to something, guess what? They're going to ask you about it. They're going to inquire into it. So now I want to get into, so with that being said, so only they can give you their why. But I want to get into the whole thing, my first experience. I had mentioned that my first time seeing this new wave sagging. I was incarcerated. I'd done like over 18 years of my life in prison. This last stint I did 14 years flat. I had probably been on about 10 different ID units. And I was, at the time, I was in closed custody, which is a high security custody status where you in your cell about 24 hours a day. I think you come out about an hour, you take a shower about 5 minutes, and that's really about it. And so, come out of hour for rec, I'm sorry. And so anyway, I had a cellie, and he was a young guy, like in his early 20s, and it used to kill me how he would have his pants drop down and his boxers like just ripped around his ass, and he would be like kneeling talking through the bars, and he'll get up and with the boxers literally just ripped between his ass cheek, and it used to disgust me. And I used to be like, I don't want to offend him, so I'm trying to find an angle of how to come at him without offending the youngster. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause you know, people, one thing about dudes from the hood, especially males from the hood, they wear their feelings on their sleeves. It don't take much to rub them the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? And I'm trying not to rub the youngster the wrong way, because confrontation is not what I was after. I want to appeal to his mind. You feel what I'm saying? So anyway, I ended up having to just go ahead and be blunt about it and ask him what that was all about. And he tell me like, he didn't know what I'm talking about. I'm like, because that's what he do so much that he's unconscious of it. But because I mentioned it to him, he began to be more aware of it and start pulling his pants up, this, that, and that, because I told him it's disrespectful, bro. It's like literally, you may as well not even have no boxes on if you're going to show your ass and have your boxes all ripped up between your ass cheek. You know, and pardon my language, but I'm being, I need to be clear, and I need to say it how it looked to me in my mental. And so anyway, that's what it was. That's my first experience, and that was around 2008. Did it start in prison? I was in prison, but did it start in prison? No. That look was a look that was brand new to me, and that's why it disturbed me so much. I had already been down over, I think about 10 or 12 years or something like that. So that look was a look I had my first time ever seeing. I've been in the streets damn near to that point all my life. I had never seen that look. You understand what I'm saying? I had never seen that look. So you can't tell me it was in the world, it wasn't on the videos, and it wasn't something that started in prison, because it wasn't there. In prison, when you think about it, especially in Texas, back before, I would say in the early 90s and back, your pants was more fitted, and you wore a belt. And it was, and anybody who knows anything about Texas prison and federal prison, it's almost like a military type of dress code. You neatly tucked, and you professional. What has made it more tacky looking today when you see these people post videos and this, that, and other is because of the jumpsuit thing. The two-piece jumpsuit, elastic pants, one pullover shirt. Yeah, those be big, they be old, they be washed every day. Lashes start going out. I'm talking about when I got pants like that, I had to pull them up all day. And guess what? Eventually reached the point where I go turn them jokers in and give me something else, because I don't like pulling my pants up all day. You know what I'm saying? And so again, though, but that's not something that started in prison, man. I don't know who started that, talk about that. I think somebody heard that dude Fleet Johnson talk about it, and ever since he said that, everybody label him as a representation or a representative of all the prisons in the world, and this, that, and other. I just, and honestly, I believe that he had a motive for saying that. Maybe that's his experience. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But I believe he really had a motive. I just my belief. I believe that when you get on camera and film and all this, that, and other, you got a motive for doing it. So, that wasn't my experience, and all the years I've ever experienced in prison, that wasn't my experience. And damn near over 80% of the people that I know and socialize with and deal with every day have been in prison and done years down there, and have no one ever told me that was their experiences too, because this is a conversation we've had a number of different times. So, I mean, this is not something that when people say that, don't tell me what nobody told you. I'm telling you. I'm saying, and if a dude who say he been to prison and he seen that, I mean, I need to talk to him. I need to ask him certain questions because he may be saying sagging, but I'm talking about pants weighing below the ass cheek, advertising as a homo. I didn't even see homosexuals do that. I'm saying not even the homosexuals done that. And you see homosexuals on every unit, but that's homosexual do a number of things to let you know they're homosexual, but that's not one of them. So I don't know where that come from. I don't know where people start getting that idea from. But I say stop it, because what's happened is that you're almost planting this type of saying or thought in the minds of people that black males that go to prison are coming out probably have messed with men or homosexual or have homosexual tendencies or something like that. And you have to understand the plot or the plight behind trying to emasculate black males, and they're gonna do it by every angle and every way that they can do it. So just be mindful of the information that you disseminate. I think I mentioned the prison. I talked about the prison thing. Buck breaking from the slave days when a slave master felt like the slave done something wrong, he would pull his pants down, make him bend over something, whip him until he's almost unconscious, and then he would rape him and probably have some other white homosexuals rape him in front of his kids and wife, to another tactic of implanting fear and breaking the man. And it was said that most slaves that got done like that, they would commit suicide. They would either abandon their families or commit suicide. Let me tell you something. I know there's a saying people believe, and I even had thought this when I was growing up, that a man can get raped in prison and turn into a girl. Let me tell you something. From my experience in my walking life, a man can't be broken and changed into nothing else. I wouldn't give a damn what happened to him. What's going to happen is that he's going to commit a homicide. And then he may be so fucked up in the head after what happened that he may kill himself in the act of killing everybody else. He may, because he can't live with that. But from my experience, a solid man, no matter what wrong he may have done in life, outside of raping kids and other women, right? Other men, and this is my point when I say this here, other men isn't going to let that happen. They don't have to mess with him, they don't have to deal with him, they don't have to like him, but they're not going to let that happen because he's a man. But again, if you talking about somebody who raped kids and all that, I don't know. I mean, from my experience in prison, they don't even put that kind of person amongst population. They put that kind of person in segregation, or they put that kind of person in a section designated for homosexuals and police officers and people that are high risk. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? You see a lot of those things, when you really think about the stuff you think and you say about stuff like that, ask yourself where you really get it from. And most of it come from movies. Most of it come from movies and somebody that say it. None of it. If you really just be intelligent for a moment, that is a form and way of programming, getting you to think a certain thing, getting you to question, getting you to have doubt, getting you to not trust. Who? The black man, first and foremost. I even had my black women I know that asked me, "Hey, you all that time you done? You sure you ain't messing with no man?" What the fuck you mean? How am I not supposed to get offended by a question like that? Where'd you get that from? What makes you even ask me that? But it's the program, and it's another scheme and tactic. I believe that hip hop had a heavy influence on why these youngsters wear their pants like that today. I do believe that the people who get these artists to look a certain way, style themselves a certain way, this, that, and other. I believe that whenever that started, they took that look and they insisted, drop your pants a little lower, sag. Come on, when you go out there, go pull your pants down. I believe they done that. And whenever that first started, and the hottest rapper that done that, guess what? The young people started following. Now that's where the strongest influence is at, is the hip hop community. I believe strongly on everything that's where that come from, because this is a look that occurred in the new millennial time. And I strongly believe Lil Wayne could have been one of the ones who they got to do it. Whether it been unconsciously or consciously. Now, my last thing I want to say in closing is this here. For those of us who are up in the age like 30s, 40s, 50s, plus 60s, whatever, when you get to talking about those in their 20s, you have to remember, man, that you can't criticize them without criticizing us, because they still are a reflection or the result of us, of what we did and what we didn't do, what we gave and what we didn't give. You can't disconnect that. You can't disconnect it. They are a reflection of us. They are us still. They are the good of us. They are the bad of us. They are the success of us. They are the failed of us. They are us. We also was them. We were also looked at like they are being looked at by those who was older than us, and we have to remember that. We have to not perpetuate an evolution that only gets worse. We have to know when and how to promote and encourage and cultivate change. And we can't do it with our emotion. We can't do it with giving out false information that we heard, information that we feel is true, information that we haven't sat down and actually try to research and think about and use our senses. We get so emotional. And when we get all emotional and somebody disagree with you or say something that you don't agree with, then you want to get disrespectful. Come on, man. It don't take all that. It really don't even take all that. So, that was the last thing I wanted to say, but I really wanted to go ahead and speak on this before the day had ended, and I pray that you all have had a peaceful day, a blessing day, a productive day, and that every day that follows continues to be just as or more. Peace and blessing.